The BizNews Power Hour.
Welcome to the BizNews Power Hour, where we give you the rational perspective on business news that matters. Yep, and it is Wednesday, the 11th of August. I mean, really, Stuart Lohman, it feels like a Thursday already, doesn't it? We've only had 2 days back at work.
I was going to say, these short weeks, Alec, they do play with our minds as hard work.
Anyway, 11th of August, Wednesday it is, and a really good show coming up for you. Magnus Haystick, who's our Wednesday evening guest, said he's just arrived back from a new country, or from another country, the Western Cape. So we'll hear what he's got to say about that. I'm sure he's going to repeat that little quip a little bit later in the show. But what are people reading on biznews.com today, Stuart?
Just published on .com is the Digital Vibes SIU report, Alec. And then our colleague Nadia Swat has put some of Paul O'Sullivan's quotes into that. So that's running on the site, top of the pops.
Nadia, it is quite an extraordinary story, this whole Digital Vibes. Started off with a whistleblower telling Daily Maverick about it some time ago, and now this SIU, Special Investigations Unit, has issued an affidavit. It's 87 pages, so you spent a bit of time analyzing it. Yeah,
that's like a book, but it's fascinating. Gory.
It could be made into a book.
It could probably.
Yeah, Paul O'Sullivan, obviously I spoke with him today. We won't be hearing that interview in the program today. We might actually cut some highlights out for it for tomorrow night. But he had some pretty caustic things to say about it, like, who could ever vote for the ANC again after this, what we're just seeing, the depth of the corruption is just extraordinary. The minister's son going to a petrol station, picking up black plastic bags full of money, R1 million at a time.
Yeah, it's very sad.
It's all in that report. And that's the one that people are reading, Stu.
That's the top of the pops, as we say, Alec. I suppose it's a modus operandi that comes through in that report, in how the corruption has been handled with this, but other previous elements.
Stuart, I dealt with the two ladies, one in their 50s and one in their 30s, when Zweli Mkhize was running to become the president of the ANC. Can you believe that? He might have done it in 2017. And Matha, I think her name was. And now it transpires that she and her comrade actually went from Mkhize, from Cogta, to the Department of Health. They structured this whole thing and stole, well, at least 80 million. They know exactly is gone, but there was 150 million involved altogether.
I suppose, Alec, that's also another thing. You don't really know people as well as we might think we do, from reports, whatever, and you just never know what lies beneath, unfortunately. And the ANC seems to have a very deep wound with corruption. It seems to be everywhere, unfortunately. It's tainting the party quite badly.
Well, here was Mr. Clean, supposedly, Zweli Mkhize. Wow. Okay.
Other topics, Eskom, Alec, there was a CSR report. Load shedding is as bad as apparently 2007. So as much as the rate is seen as this sort of savior, he's got a lot of problems. And they're still coming through. And tied with that was the Medupi explosion, which is not going to make his job any easier on the load shedding side. And then there's a piece by Jonathan Katzenellenborg on the cabinet reshuffle and how crisis drove a reshuffle, but it hasn't really driven any reform. So we haven't really moved anywhere despite a few new faces in government.
So those are the big stories that we've covered on BizNews today, and we'll be talking about them today as well. What's going on with the BizNews TV on YouTube, Nadia?
So similar themes. The top video of the day is of yesterday's flash briefing, which covered Eskom's Medupi power station explosion, Spoo Shabalala's resignation as CEO of Adapt IT, and another postponement of Zuma's arms deal trial. So it's a nice way to catch up on your news Monday to Thursday. And the video of your interview with Stephen Nathan yesterday did very well. I find that he has a really great, fresh perspective to always apply to what's been happening. And then another video that's always also done very well is the interview that we did with Doctors Mdladla Nkanyaki and Professor Colleen Aldous about ivermectin.
That we did.
Very well watched. That I did.
that you did. Well done. Yeah, it
Yes.
is well watched and good, strong on the ground. Isn't it lovely to get that practical feel that you get from the doctors in the hospitals? They're busy
It
with
was
it. And
amazing. Yeah. They spoke about their real experience actually using it to treat. And it was very moving.
it's a little bit like that with Stephen Nathan. He's the man who started 10X. He's left 10X. He's independent now. He gives us some wonderful insights every Tuesday. But Stu,
Yes, he does.
what are people listening to on our podcasts?
Alec, it seems those themes pull across the platforms at BizNews. Nadi's extended conversation with the ivermectin trio, 40-minute conversation has been very well listened to on the radio. Just behind Peter Haynes' interview yesterday, we obviously republished from the interviews you do in studio here. That's in second. And then Nathan's piece on the SOEs and how government and SOEs should probably do less rather than more.
And often on BizNews radio, you get the full interview, whereas sometimes we can only use part of it here. So sometimes we do pre-records, and then we will take the highlights for you on the Power Hour and run the full interview. If you go into BizNews Radio on Spotify, and you can also find it on iTunes, often on the website as well. But interesting, 40 minutes of Nadia Swart getting the full treatment there.
BrightRock believes that with every change in life comes opportunity, and the markets aren't any different. The daily movement in the markets mean change for us all, sometimes small, sometimes big. This daily market report is made just for you by BrightRock, the first ever needs-meshed life insurance that changes as your life changes.
Okay, Nadia, well, there's your cue to bring us up to date with the news headlines.
Cool. So South Africa faces a record year for power outages after the explosion at Medupi. And the blast said to occur on Sunday night during a process to find an external leak, according to preliminary findings. So at this point, we do not have details as to what it will cost and how long it will take to repair the generator, Eskom has said in reply to questions. And the incident threatens to unravel any progress made by the utility to improve performance and avoid more power cuts that have crimped the economic growth in Africa's most industrialized nation. Eskom pledged in March that a maintenance drive to improve performance of its aging fleet of coal-fired plants would start showing results from September. The incident at the Medupi station, which is being constructed at a cost of about 135 billion rand, demonstrates the utility's inability to prevent faults throughout the power grid. And South African business confidence fell to a 9-month low in July after a week of deadly riots, looting, and arson cost the economy 50 billion rand in lost output and imperiled at least 150,000 jobs. A confidence index compiled by the South African Chamber of Commerce and Industry dropped to 93.2 from 96.2 in June, the lowest since October 2020. And the reading suggests a more muted effect on the overall business climate in the country after the collective actions of businesses and communities helped to contain the disruptions caused by the rioting and looting. Still, the spate of looting and destruction was a setback to inclusivity, growth, and job creation, and could compound and upset investor confidence in the long term. Economists see the damage from the riots shaving as much as 1 percentage point off economic growth this year. And then former Defence Minister Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakulu has effectively swapped places with her replacement, Thandi Modise, with the ANC putting her name forward to take over as Speaker of Parliament. And the decision to nominate Mapisa-Nqakulu has not been popular with opposition parties who say she's not fit for the position, as she's seen to have failed in her duties as Defence Minister during the July riots. So they see her as being elected as Speaker as failing upwards. The ANC said she is more than qualified for the position.
But they would say so, wouldn't they?
Of
Justin
course.
Rowe-Roberts will bring us up to date with the markets today. Justin?
The JSE All-Share Index was flat at 68,600. In the currency markets, the rand strengthened against all the major currencies to 14 rand 67 cents to the dollar, 20 rand 32 cents to the pound, and 17 rand 22 cents to the euro. Gold is up at $1,743 an ounce. A Kruger rand will put you back approximately 27,000 rand. Brent crude is lower at $70 a barrel, and the premier cryptocurrency will cost you 680,000 rand. In the financial news, South Africa's fifth largest bank by market capitalization, Nedbank, released its interim results for the 6-month period ended 30 June 2021. As has been a theme with all the big banks, all important financial metrics were far better than the prior period, which was directly affected by the onset of the coronavirus pandemic. To reward shareholders for an improved performance, Nedbank declared an interim dividend of 4.33 rand. The share was slightly down for the day. Embroiled retailer Steinhoff has just announced that it'll increase its settlement offer by another 3.2 billion rand. The extra 3.2 billion rand is in addition to a separate increase amount announced last month. The total settlement offer now stands at around 25 billion rand. The share skyrocketed by 20% following the announcement, with Steinhoff trading around the 2 rand level. Higher and tertiary education provider Advotech released an upbeat trading update to the market, indicating that bottom line earnings would be up around 30% to just over 50 cents a share for its half year ended 30 June 2021. This is in contrast to competitor Curro, who last week reported a 50% slump in earnings. Advotech shares were up around 4% on the day.
Thank you, Justin. And still coming up in the program tonight, we're going to have more on the Nedbank story with Koki Koiman, more on the Eskom story with Ted Blom, and then something that we haven't touched on much yet, the whole cadre deployment controversy. And Dr. Leon Schreiber from the Democratic Alliance will be talking to us from the Zondo Commission. So plenty to stay with us for.
This market report was made just for you by BrightRock, the first ever needs-matched life insurance that changes as your life changes.